In the name of Allah, beneficent, merciful, who came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, raised up his messenger Elijah Muhammad, to prepare the way for the messenger of the covenant. Greet you. Assalamu alaikum. 1 minute, brothers and sisters. Up for the audience. This is the black alert. Technical difficulty here. Second, bro. Technical difficulty. One second here. Let me just. Technical. I resolved it. This is Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Welcome. Okay. Okay, brothers and sisters. Again, this is the resurrected nation of Islam. Sulaiman Rahim here, the messenger of the covenant. Welcome. Now, least we forget the Holocaust. Brothers and sisters, there's a momentous effort, gigantic effort to whitewash our 400-year experience here. They want to call it critical race theory. Nothing theoretical about what they did to us. Nothing theoretical at all. But they're doing that in order to whitewash it, minimize it. They're trying to talk away out of their judgment. See that picture there? There's nothing theoretical about that. And you see anything about slavery in that? See, slavery is a whitewash. Look up the word slavery. Slavery is a whitewash. Slavery is the economic part of what we went through. Slavery is an economic system. Is to get you to work for nothing, labor for nothing. That's slavery. That's capitalism at its best. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. That's capitalism for you. That was just a minimum part went through. 90% of what we went through was the Holocaust, rape, murder, castration, oppression, torture, you name it. There was no limit to the cruelty, the horror that they imposed upon us. When I say no limit, I actually mean no limit. In other words, there's nothing that is possible to do to us they didn't do. They exhausted every possibility of horror upon us. Don't let them keep telling you it's slavery. Oh, it's slavery all over the world. Why are you worried about it? Everybody has slaves. So why would you want to get paid? No, you can't pay us. That's why the judgment is here. Because you were told that you would be judged. That's the Abrahamic covenant, that we'll be enslaved and afflicted. So affliction is part of slavery. There will be no need to speak of affliction. It would just be slavery, and was included inside affliction, included in the definition of slavery. No, because it's distinct. And we went through 400 years of horror costs, and it was no theory. So they're trying to whitewash it, trying to go way out of it. They don't want their children to know about what they did. Don't teach my children critical race theory. Why? You don't want to know your history? If you're so good, you should be glorifying your history. You should love to talk about your history. The home of the brave, right? Land of, what you call it? Home of the brave, land of the strong, whatever you call it. Land of the free. Home of the brave, land of the free. If that's not a bullshit, excuse me, brothers and sisters. When they made that, they had millions and millions of slaves here that were not free. And we're still not free here because we're still under their thumb. We're under their laws, right? We do what they tell us to do, or they imprison us. We act like they want us to act, or they come down on us. So we can't be ourselves. We have to be like they want us to be. So you're not free. Anyone tells you're free is telling you a lie, and they're your enemy. We're still here. Still under their system, under their laws, under their eternal watch. That's the truth of it. So we're going to move on, brothers and sisters, to our topic, Time's Up. Resurrected Nation of Islam. I'm going to say a few words about that because we've been lied to since the day we stepped on this continent, 1555, continuously until Master Prophet Muhammad showed up. It's the first light of day that we ever saw. And Elijah Muhammad kept shining that light 40-some years until Lion, Farrakhan, Aaron, Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds, NOI backwards came and shut it out, put that light out. It was a demon. Half devil, half man. That's what demon means. Follows the devil. That makes him a demon. Just Google him. So we make sure we understand that. That's where the nation fell. It was beheaded. So if John, Elijah Muhammad was taken away, the nation had no leadership. Farrakhan and Wallace dismantled it, liquidated everything, took all the income, took everything away for themselves, and started something called the Bilalians. There wasn't any nation of Islam. Understand that, brothers. And so it was never resurrected. Lion Farrakhan is telling you he resurrected it. Did he? Do you have any idea what the Nation of Islam was like when Elijah Muhammad was here? I was here. I was with him for 70 and 75 in Chicago. Number 2, security for him. I know what I'm talking about, and I was there when everything went down. So when they destroyed everything, when Farrakhan claimed he came back because he was destitute, he said he was destitute, and somebody threw him a lifeline. He said he'd come back. and live off of the Nation of Islam, which he has been doing for 40 some years. Even talking about economic program in economics, been begging you money, economic programs for 40 some years. You see any economics anywhere? But he's got mansions and stretch Bentleys and pretty dresses and designer glasses. And he got the sisters on the street pimping. He pimping the sisters, have them out doing fundraisers. Elijah Muhammad never put on his sisters on the street doing anything. He got him out there doing fundraisers so he can gallop around the world with BS. He's a fraud, he's a fake, he's a liar, and his time is up. That's why it's the resurrected Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam is being revived. The Nation of Islam was not that small little organization that you think Elijah Muhammad was running. That was just the seed of it coming back. Because Nation of Islam has been here forever. Since the beginning, always be here. Because Islam is mathematics, mathematical Islam. That's what Elijah Muhammad taught you. That's what I confirm. And mathematics is everything. Always been here, always will be here. So it's not just a little thing just came up out of nowhere. Okay, brothers and sisters. So let's move on to our topic. First, I'm going to, this verse, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Now, what are they talking about there? What is that about? Because I'm going to explain a few things to you in a few minutes. And it says that this shall precede their destruction. They be saying peace and safety. And what I'm going to reveal to you is that the destruction is on the horizon. So that means, so how does this verse fit in? That's true. How does this verse fit in? That's true. That's what we're going to talk about. Okay, brothers and sisters. There's a great deception. It tells you there'll be a great deception, and it's very profound when you really think about it. I'm going to try to talk about it in a general way, because I mean, it's a subject we can talk about for hours. It's so, I mean, it's so complicated. It's like knot within knot within knot within a knot, you know. And every time you have to unravel one to get to the next one, unravel another to get next. It's you have to unravel so much, right? And sometimes you don't know where you got to the source, but you keep unraveling. And every time you unravel it, it's just another one there. And that's it done. Because they got you going in every direction. Ron says they will come after you in every elevated place. That means everywhere you look, it's deception. We had this clown, Tucker Carlson, the other night on Fox News, talking about Christianity is the greatest force for human rights, human history. My wife like to fill out. I said, "What did he say that?" I mean, I know he lies. They all lie, That's like coming to understand 2 plus 2 is 7. He said, and he's serious. He said that? That new mathematics we don't know anything about? He says, Christianity is the reason why we don't have slavery anymore. There were Christians that stopped slavery. You know, it's astounding. And like I said, it's very difficult to break through all of that. Because I said, it's like when about one knot, there's nothing right under it. Because some of you out there, especially younger people, you don't even know anything about slavery. And you think slavery is what we went through, but that's a lie in itself. Because slavery is an economic system. See? It doesn't include it's a degree of depression in it. Because I mean, obviously, they force you to do something for nothing. There's depression involved in it, but it's not rape, murder, castration, sodomy. Those things not included in slavery. But yet, one second here, brother. But yet they tell, you in slavery. Slavery is all over the world. Yeah, there's slavery every place. They have slavery now. When you go out there, you go out there and you busting your behind 24 hours, 40 hours a week, $5 an hour. That's slavery. They say, well, okay, that's just a little diversion here. You working? They say, work hard, keep your nose clean, and you'll be successful. Well, nobody works harder than us while he has the change. And we sure keep our nose clean, right? But do you really think in this system they have that if you go out there and you work 40 hours a week, busting your behind, working hard, you think that the big boss, he's doing 40 hours a week, and you making $5 an hour, he's making $10,000 an hour, right? So do you think that he's making 20,000? He's working 20,000 times harder than you? Do you really think he's working 20,000 times harder than you? I got my math wrong on that. Just say $10, make it easy. You make $10 an hour, he's making $10,000 an hour. Right? That's 1,000 times more than you. So you think he's working 1,000 times harder than you? You really? That's the system. There's no justice in that system. How is he working 10,000 times harder than you? Got math wrong again. He's making $10,000 an hour. You making $10 an hour. He's making 1,000 times harder than you. Is he working 1,000 times harder than you? Is really? But he deserves 1,000 times more than you. And that's the system that we're dealing with. There's no justice in that. But what I'm trying to say here is, first of all, there's no justice. Hold on a second, bro. Every time I hear neighbors. They're going, well, I said this was a diversion anyway about how slavery. See, that's what capitalism is slavery. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. Let's get back to it. They have come at you so many different directions. I'm a couple of them. That's one of them right there. Because you think in slavery, and they're getting away with this, they were just slaves. So everybody has slaves. And so they want to define your experience. It's like a rapist, right? Defining the experience of the person being raped. They're going to explain, and plus they're going to tell them how they should feel about it. So that's what they tell us. They tell us how we should feel about what they did to us. I got upset. There's slavery everywhere. Why don't you get over it? And that's in the past. How are you going to tell us how we should feel about what you did to us? See, that's part of the knots. Because you got to go through all this knot, and to get to the core, and you may never get there because they got so many knots. They got the language. One of the most powerful, the most powerful book in the world right now is the dictionary. You think it's the Quran, the Bible? No, it's dictionary. Because the dictionary gets defined what those words mean. The dictionary gets defined what those words. So they could change the whole meaning of the Bible by just changing the words. Change the meaning of the words. And they do that to some extent with this thing about slavery. That word slavery does not define our situation in any way. It whitewashed it, it minimized it, and makes it seem like it was just one of those things. So that means they can honor George Washington and Jefferson because they were slavers. That's all, man. That was, they were just man of their times. So forget about, they had 300 and 400 slaves. They was raping the women. They was raping the toddlers, right? There was pedophiles, rapists, murderers. Because how do you think there was terrorists? How do you think you keep people that's being treated horrifically? How do you think you keep them under control? You have to use terror to do it. You have to terrorize them. This is a terrorist nation. And just over 40 years, they try to say, oh man, that was in the past. You have people saying, oh, that was 400 years ago. They got that. And you go for 400 years ago, which is recent. It started 400 years ago. But they slipped the words and you keep going for it. Then they got the demons, the terror butts. That's what they were calling. Because their purpose is to keep us in terror, in fear of master. Because they're amongst us, they look like us, they're like wolves in sheep. They are wolves in sheep clothing. They're the chaff that's sown amongst us to keep us in line, and they keep us in fear and terror, keep us against ourselves, the odds against us, because they're doing all, and we see them and we think that's us. So we start hating ourselves, and we start defending ourselves against ourselves, and watching ourselves, because we don't know who is who. It's like you got a lot of wolves in sheep clothing around lambs. Lambs disappearing. You find lambs, and you don't know who's doing it. And so you start be afraid of other lambs. Something's going on here. Now all the lambs are terrorized. Okay? And then when you see a lamb acting like a wolf, you get, hey man, what you mean, man? What you being divisive? I'm just like you. And that's the demons. And we're told that half the black population in America are demons. That's slave masters' children. They're the ones causing all the chaos, the havoc, the murder, the rape, the gangsterism, and all that stuff. That's them doing that stuff, not us. They terrorizing us. But then I said, there's another little knot in this whole. I said, one knot after another. There's another one. What they did to us, they prepared us for all this nonsense. We arrived here in 1555, as we was taught by Master Prophet Muhammad, right? 3 lives of Muhammad, that we arrived here in 1555. But it took 64 years to prepare us to turn us into Negro butts, turn us from Kunti Kinte into Toby. It took 64 years to do it. And then the first Negro bus came rolling off the assembly line, stamped and certified. Fully programmed to self-destruct, to obey master, not to ask any questions. Just do what you're told, period. Believe whatever master tells you is the truth. And that's where you program, and then you was given a stamp right? The certification made in America. So now your name, Toby Richardson. That wasn't a name, it was a brand. Because you was owned by Master Richardson. If he sold you the Master Brain Dead, then your name became Toby Brain Dead. Those not names, you walk around with them, and that's one of the proofs, see, that you're still programmed. That's how they do a test. Because you can show up with that name, you know, he's still programmed, he's okay. He's still programmed, he's okay. But you show up with a name that they didn't give you, all of a sudden, you gotta check him, gotta send his terror butts in. That's the demons, half devil, half man, their children. Check him out. What's wrong with him? Program is not functioning, he's malfunctioning. What's wrong with you, bro? Are you racist? You not American? What's wrong with your problem? What's with your problem? See what I'm saying? That's what goes on. And then they got to reprogram you, reboot you. See? Get you back online or deactivate you. You can figure out what deactivate means. And that's the situation that people in. Because look, a lot of people walk around, Negro butts, millions of them. My name is Nancy Washington. Really? That's how you know you're still a Negro butt. Because if you got outside that programming, the first thing you would do is you remove the stamp of America off you because you ain't owned by them anymore. So as soon as you got out of jail, the first thing you do is get rid of that damn name they gave you. Ain't that what you do? My name is 3456. As soon as they let you out, my name, whatever you drop that name immediately. Immediately. Plus, when your sentence over, two things you do. You drop that name and you get the hell out of the prison, right? But you still got the name and you're still in the prison. So tell me you're not still a prisoner. Tell me you're free. You're still in the prison. You still got what you call 456, and you're still in the prison, but you're free. You're still doing what they follow their laws, their rules, but you're free. And you still think that. You got to, oh man, we're free now. See, because you're Negro butt. You still don't get it. That's one of the knots that got you. So it got you left. And you can't think your way. Because you start thinking a little bit. Right? You say, man, I ain't free. I'm still doing what they tell me to do. They still a warden. They still my jailers. Or they might talk nice to me now. But I'm still obeying their rules. And my father, my uncle, my brothers in their prison. In the box. In solitary confinement. I'm still in prison. I'm walking around amongst the population, but they're in solitary confinement. That's the truth of it, but you don't want to hear it that way because you can't come to grips with it. You still, because that's your programming. The whole world knows it except you, because you're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to ask any questions. Because as soon as you start asking questions, all of a sudden you're programming. Right? I'm short circuit. Then the terror bus come in, see what's going on with you. Try it, see what happens. Right away, hey man, you want them Muslims? Something might be wrong with you. See? Along a Christian, that's okay. Where did you get Christianity from? Like that Carlson? Christianity freed us. Well, who the hell imprisoned us? All that was done under the banner of the cross. All of it. Christians came out of Europe seeking to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what they did. The devil seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. They stole this land. They killed the inhabitants. They brought us here and destroyed us as a people. Same thing. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, you name it. They did. Under the banner of the cross. They claimed we was heathens. We weren't Christians. That gave them the right to do everything they did. But now he said, well, Christianity is the greatest force for human rights in the world. And the reason why we don't have slavery anymore and everything because of Christians. And see, that's bullshit. He said that. Just go and check him out. Right? What was the day? The 11th? So that would have been 11th, the 10th, he said that, or the 9th, Monday. One knot after another. One knot after another. And they say that stuff. And a lot of black folks buying it. And then the Negro butts, right? They buying it. Then you got the terror busted demons. There's black-faced children, skin folk. See? They on TV 24/7 and writing books and everything, backing that stuff up. Like, we come over here as immigrants. See? Some of us, we came as immigrants, and we were so criminal, we were so wicked, they had to put us in chains. We was invited over and stuff like that. Sad. They write that stuff. That's their children. They're demons. They watch you 24/7 because they love this. They love this false reality because it's built for them, built by their fathers. That's another knot. See, they tell you what they classify. In other words, if your skin is black, you're black. No matter who your father is. Now, biology tells you that you are what your father is because the seed comes from the male. That's not what they say. Why? The cup, that's another knot. They say, oh, if your mother's not white, in other words, she's not white, she's black, right? She could be a demon too, but her skin is black. Then you consider black. Even though your father may be Caucasian. But by the laws of biology, the laws of science, you're what your father is. They say it like that, which is a lie. In other words, it's racist. I don't have a problem being racist because I have no problem. If racism means protect your own people, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with them for doing that. That's sanity. But racism, that's another not there. Racism really means when you attack another people for their race, what they did to us. That's racist. They're still doing it now. So their definition is you got to be 100% white to be considered white. That's racism in itself. In other words, you're a mutt. You got to be thoroughbred to be white. Anything else is, and you got anything in, then you ain't good enough. That's what they're saying to you, but you don't even pay attention to that. And so now they got their children running around amongst us, the chaff sort of amongst the wheat, creating havoc and destruction, terror, and we get hit for it. See, some niggas, tell you that? That's their children. And even if they weren't, who made niggas? You blame the manufacturer, not the product. And the product is usually a reflection of the manufacturer. So if we niggas, they're the big niggas that created niggas. If they were angels, they would have produced angels. If they were angels, they would produce us. They made us into angels. If they're devils, they made us into devils. They're beasts, that makes us into beasts. And that's what it says in Daniel, they turned into beasts. Took our minds from us and everything. Our minds had to be restored. And that's what Minister of the Covenant's job is, restore your mind. And that's the angel. Sealed, protect your mind, because your mind is your software. Your brain is your hardware. Your brain is your hardware. Your mind is your software. See? And they took it. They couldn't take your brains. They could have. See? They took your software, reprogrammed you. See? They put Windows on Apple. They don't run too well. You might get something out of it. It doesn't run well enough, but they, through fear, they force it to run. Fear and terror. America's a terrorist nation. And they still got our people traumatized with fear now. That's how they was able to maintain that programming, right? Keep it running. So you have bad programming that's against you. That's for them. And he had the demons back in chain slavery, the preachers, demons, to reinforce that programming. Love master, no matter what he does. The more he beats you, the more he hates you, the more you should love him. And things like that. That was all for master purpose. That's what the Bible says. That's not what it says. In fact, they need to read the whole thing. Because Jesus said, by doing that, you reaping hot coals in their head. Because he was talking about the sense of consequence. You know, you be powerless. They said, go along with it, because consequence is going to catch their ass. And it's caught up to them now. Like this other thing. I said, not within knots. They say, do not turn evil for evil. Do not return evil for evil. That's in Thessalonians, right? Do not return evil for evil. Of course, that makes sense. But how they interpret that? Well, whatever they do to you, don't do bad back. Don't react. Just love them anyway. Unconditional love. That's not what it means. God's not going to return evil for evil. He's going to return justice. That's what it means. They steal from you, don't steal from them, but render justice to their ass. That's what it means. But see, they don't translate it like that. Because the scriptures tell you Jesus is not coming back to do evil to them. He's coming back with wrath of justice. The justice of wrath or the wrath of justice, no matter how you put it, one way or the other, it comes out the same way. And who is he getting? Who is he? Who is being judged? Who is the wrath directed at? The people who did the evil. Came out of Europe 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago. They came out there seeking to kill, steal, and destroy. Took this land, killed its inhabitants. Same thing in Australia, so forth and so on. And they try to say, well, they're trying to whitewash the whole thing. Don't teach my children our history. Why? They want to make up a false history. Trying to get their way out of it because their time is over. That's right, time's up. Time's up. I'm here to tell you time's up. I'm your consequence. I am your embodiment of consequence. I'm your personification of consequence. Master Muhammad is a personification of consequence. He's the executioner, I'm the judge. He's the executioner, I'm the judge. We like it or not, you'll see. Can't destroy consequence. Try it. You tried. It didn't work, did it? I know what you're trying to do. You're still trying to figure out a way to make it happen. You can't destroy. How are you going to destroy consequence? How can you destroy consequence? Say, oh, well, Jesus can destroy consequence because all you got to do is just believe in him. There's no consequence for my deeds. Okay, have at it. But you're going to tell me that Jesus is going to destroy the entire fabric of the universe. That's the nature of the universe, consequence. And then you don't know who Jesus is anyway. Because you definitely, Jesus, the righteous Jesus that the scriptures talk about, you really think, come on, do you really think these people know him? They're going to know him soon, but you really think they know him? You think that he sanctified what they did here in this country? They stole it. They committed genocide, wiped out his inhabitants. They brought us and destroyed us as a people. You think Jesus was presiding over that? So if Jesus was presiding over that, then what the hell is that problem with Satan? What problem could they possibly have with Satan? Because Satan is the God they're worshiping, because Jesus told them Satan is God as well. Because those are actions that Satan would condone, that Satan would support, that he would reward. So Satan is the one that's blessing America. But now Satan is reclining, he's receding. because he's under attack. Because his judgment has come also. America's under judgment. His judgment started officially 2020. 1619 to 2019, 40 years, read the Abrahamic covenant in both the so-called Old Testament, New Testament, the one they don't want you to read. They say it happened in the past, which is a lie, another not. Right? If you be enslaved and afflicted, what it says, in a foreign land, a land that's not ours, around strange people, we sojourn temporarily 40 years. After 40 years, the judgment will start. The first of 10 plagues. There's 9 more, and those 9 represent the Armageddon, the European war that's about to take place. Time's up. And what's the nature of that plague? It will kill the firstborn, which is the same as the elderly, and pass over us, which is exactly what it has done, but they told you a big lie, another not. So we was dropping like flies until the World Health Organization, WHO, who published a paper not too long ago that they was trying to figure out why Black Africa, Haiti, and all countries where mostly black folks control and reside are not affected by this plague. So they don't tell you that you drop like flies anymore, do they? Because you're not. It's passing over you. That's what the Passover means. False Israel claiming the Passover, it didn't pass over them. They caught it worse than anybody else, but it passed over us. That was the official start of the judgment. And said, time's up. Time's up. There'll be a period leading up to, I presented that very clearly earlier this week, right? Leading up to war in heaven. Michael's angels fight against the dragon and his angels. Dragon angels, you don't know who they are, because you don't know the angel. Because no one you know has broken the seals. So you have no idea what those things mean. That was about to break out, and that was going to ignite more Armageddon. You're in judgment now. It's been set up. Everything's being set up. Jury and everything's set up. The trial officially, so you're in judgment. The trial officially starts, and that war takes place, which will be any day now. Based on my calculation, it'll be within the next 90 days. False Israel was taken down and judged and destroyed. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you know its destruction is near. Who is you? Where is Jerusalem? Who controls Jerusalem? Jerusalem is the capital of who? It tells you all you need to know. Because if they were the true seed of Abraham, they could not be destroyed when they return. But when that happens, that going to send shockwaves to the world. See, those that didn't know your time was up, didn't know you was in judgment, will know at that point. Be crystal clear. Because they put all their hopes in this thing, false Israel, that they're the real seed of Abraham, because it makes, it underscores them as being righteous, good people. But they're true seed of Abraham. Right? America, Europeans, they're the spiritual seed of Abraham. We're Ham. See, born to cursed by Noah, be black, slaves forever. So this is the promised land here. See, so all that's good. So they did everything good. They following God's law. But when false Israel was taken out, and then the claim that Elijah Muhammad made, right, that was presented by Master Muhammad, that we true Abraham is true, all that falls apart, and then they look in the mirror and they don't see these angels they imagine in their mind, they see devils, the true image. And that they've been persecuting God's people, the apple of his eye, and they genocidal maniacs who kill all these people, women, children. Women and children, in Ukraine, they took their horse and stumped children to death, stumped their brains out, the natives of this country. They didn't care. They went to come. People sitting there in their little teepees, minding their business along the shore. They said, no, here come the cavalry. Kill women, kill all of them. Kill them all. They ain't nothing but roaches and rats. They worth nothing. That was the attitude there. Even if the braves was out there, someplace else hunting, they didn't care. It's jumping down on women and children. They raped them. I mean, the women got lucky if they got raped. But what they was doing to them, that you know, because what they did was a lot worse. Dumping down, trampling on children's brains and carrying on. They did. They did far worse to us. One way of inspiring fear, we wasn't sufficiently fearful enough. They take a black woman, she's pregnant, they have all this, the Negro butts stand around her, and they cut her stomach open, the baby fall out, and they stomp the baby's brains right in front of them. See? Things like that. And they talk about, well, our ancestors did that. Really? Yeah, well, if you're a lion, your ancestors are lions too, aren't they? If you're a giraffe, your ancestors are giraffes too, aren't they? You act the same. There's a difference between a lion that's hungry and a lion that's fed. You're just a fed devil. That's all. When you get hungry again, you're going to resort right back to what you was doing your fathers did. Because if you blame them for what happened, then how come you honor them? Why are you honoring them? Why are you not denouncing them? You're not doing that. And on top of that, the natives of the country, they still around, some of them. Why don't you get the country back to them and pack your bags, go back to Europe? You're not going to do that. By your own law, you're just as guilty as they are. If you're receiving stolen property, and there's no statute of limitations on murder, rape, and the kind of terrorism that you was doing. Terrorist nation. But your time is up. Your judgment started 2020. That's the first of 9 plagues. And you see the other ones warming up. Food shelves are being empty. They tell you it's getting worse. Inflation is growing. They said it's going to get a lot worse. Gas prices are going through the roof. They said it's going to get a lot worse. They're telling you. Because they're in judgment. They're not coming out of this. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And then they're going to be in a war in the Middle East in a minute. This war with Ukraine is not the war that's going to start Armageddon. Listen to Lion Farrakhan. He is saying what CNN say. He doesn't know. This falls in the category of wars and rumors of wars. There'll be a war in the Middle East that's going to happen anytime now. When I say anytime now, I actually mean anytime now. I'm talking within the next 2 to 3 months. That's going to kick up Armageddon. Because America and false Israel and Britain, Magog and Antichrist, is going to be defeated. Magog is going to be kicked out. False Israel or Antichrist is going to be under siege. That's Israel. We see Israel surrounded by armies. Destruction is nigh. It's going to be under siege for a while, long enough for the people starving to the point where they're going to start eating themselves. It says that they're going to start eating their own people. And then they will be destroyed. And the evangelicals, they're going to go crazy in this country because they're telling everybody that that's truthfully Abraham. They said in 48, which is a lie, and that Jesus is going to come the last minute. They're going to convert. See, they're going to convert. Oh man, when they're down and desperate and they're about to be destroyed, they're going to call on Jesus, and Jesus is going to save them, right? And come in and destroy all their enemies, the Muslims, all that kind of stuff. And then they're going to go out and kick the rest of the world in the ass. That's like trying to tell people, that's what's up believing. And when that doesn't happen like that, look around, and the only claim that's valid, that's provable is ours, and the word going to go out. Because during that time, when that happens, brothers and sisters, when that happens during that period of time right here, when false Israel goes down after America and Britain, Gog and Magog is kicked out. Simultaneously, there will be a war in Europe. Simultaneously that. There's also going to be insurrection right here in America. All these things happen. The weather's going to go, you're going to see weather like you never saw before. It's going to be totally out of control. And they're going to recognize that those 9 plagues, the purpose of those 9 plagues was to make them, was to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. See? Because they don't want to let us go. Because there's secrets, another knot that you don't know about. We said, hey, why don't let us go? He said, well, Lincoln would not do it, he couldn't afford it. I'm going to give you a little hint, because I don't want to take in, I said so many knots, and I don't want to, unravel a whole bunch of time. It just gets more confusing. I want to unravel one, then go to the next one. It takes time. But if you start just unraveling stuff, lose track of what's going on. I put it like this. I put it in the form of a question. And those of you that have any understanding of this, I know you've been told things. Just do a thought experiment here. Just assume that they're Adam and Eve, like the Bible says. They came to existence 6,000 years ago. So we got 6,000 years of history. They say God made them. Quran says, story. You got the Bible story. You got Messenger story where Dr. Yaqub brought them existence through a process of genetic engineering, which he referred to called grafting. They got different stories. But the bottom line is, most people believe Adam came into existence 6,000 years ago. That's the truth. Okay, so for 5,500 years ago, the world was mostly a horse and buggy world, right? So the spears, horse and buggy, right? Chariots, horses, carriages. Whatever kind of carriage was a chariot or whatever, right? 5,500 years. So all you that believe that 6,000 years theory, you have to agree. 5,500 years, that was no industry, right? No technology, none of this stuff that you see today. Then suddenly, after they drug us over here 500 years ago, they went from the agricultural age to the industrial age. Suddenly, after bringing us over here, suddenly. Coincidence? So now you got the industrial age. Now you got the AI age. And where's all that coming from? Is it coming from Germany? Coming from Russia? Coming from China? Even today, all the innovations only coming from here. So if they're so superior, well, in Russia, you got most of all Caucasians there. Up to recently, yeah, same thing in Germany. So why are they the big sinners, meccas of industry and industry, innovation, technology? I don't think there's any exceptions. All the technology that exists today came out of here. All the ideas came out of here. Once they brought us over here. Do we have anything to do with that? See, when you understand the mathematics, the science about creation, understand how the angel works, you know the answer to that. But you don't know the answer because you never thought of it. And you don't know how precious you are to these people. Because you are the creators. You create everything. They're very technical people, but you're the creators. The technicians can do nothing without a blueprint, without ideas. Once you get a blueprint, ideas, they can go with it, but they don't come with ideas on their own. They don't come with blueprints on their own. And we are the idea people. Basic general way of looking at it. Music. How powerful is music in the world? How powerful is music in the world? Are you rocking to Mozart? Are you rocking to Beethoven? Are you rocking to any of those people? Are you rocking to Stevie and Whitney, right? And Beyonce, Jay-Z? Who you rocking to? Right? Are you rocking to Mr. Hong Kong, Mr. China, Mr. India? Who you rocking to? Music is mathematics. It gets down to the nature of the people. And the world's rocking to our mathematics right there. You don't see it that way. You say, oh man, there's music. No. When you understand music, music all mathematics. And so we're not mathematics, we're savages, but we can come up with the most mathematical expression, which is music. Music is just a pressure aspect of mathematics. Pressure waves, complex pressure waves. That's all it is. And we're the ones rocking the planet with it. See? If you understand that, it tells you a lot of things. Let me say a couple of things about that, and then we're going to close out, brothers and sisters. Do some research. And what forms of music are the most primary forms of music? Well, I'm not a musician. Okay, you got blues, right? That's right. Jazz, right? You got the Motown sound. Those three, you got this rap stuff, right? That's the extension of Motown sound. I don't know if you ever heard of Gil Scott Heron. From my point of view, he's the first rapper. Just look at that. Go do some research. So we know blues preceded jazz, right? And we know jazz preceded Motown sound. But you ever check it out? So when did blues come on the scene? In the 1860s rather. Why? Because that's when we so-called was free. We wasn't free because they loved us. It was economics. The North didn't want to compete with slave labor. That's part of it. Plus, they was moving from the agricultural revolution, agricultural age to industrial age, which means they had less and less need for us. They were starting to build machines and things. They didn't have any idea about machines before that. So when we were so-called free, we was thrown out in the ditch. We had no place to stay, no food, no clothing, nothing. We didn't get 4 acres to move anything. We had the blues. That music was an expression of our condition. Then 50 years later, right, in the 10s and 20s, 1910s, 1920s, right? You saw people showing up, but we had no knowledge of ourselves, no knowledge whatsoever. We didn't know nothing about history, anything. We was just concerned with just trying to survive. Ku Klux Klan, Jim Crow, all that kind of stuff. And then we had Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Nasser Muhammad, people like that show up. And then we went to another phase. Afrocentric. We start getting jazzy. Reggae came out, ragtime came out about the same time too, form of jazz. And then what? 50 years later, right? Now we want separation. The demons want, well, I guess I should say that, but that could kind of leave it like we hobbled a little bit. With the we went through the blues. You had two minds of thought. Notice that half the original people, half the black people in America are demons, right? Master children. So we had two decisions. We had one that wanted to get away from the master, that's the original people, and one wanted to get close to the master. They stayed on the farm. They wanted to share crop. They knew what the hell master was doing, but they didn't care. But they wanted to be close to master. They was living in master's house, and master threw them out because you ain't gonna live off us. They wasn't making money off. They wasn't living off us in the fields anymore. So they weren't going to, take care of their own house Negroes, terror butts, demons. They said you can live off of them Negroes out there, and that's what they did. But a lot of them wouldn't stay with masters. They stayed sharecroppers. Two divisions of thought. And the same thing happened in the 10s and 20s, right? Division of thought again. We got Jazzy. We had two levels of thought, two classes of thought, right? Eurocentric and Afrocentric. Yeah, Du Bois and Booker T. Wise, people came along. We got to think more like white people. We got to be like them. We got to be analytical. That's what Farrakhan tell you. You got to be analytical like them, because he had no idea about this spatial as opposed to analytical. Man's a demon. He's stupid. He's a liar. So and they had the brown bag test. You was darker than the brown bag, and you was hopeless. So it had the two divisions, two types, two classes of thought. Those that want to think Afrocentric, some went back to Liberia, Afrocentric, and some Eurocentric. So we want to get back to our people. We want to get close to master, because they are master children. Then what happened in the 50 years later? Remember, start 1860s, now it's the 1960s. 100 years later, 50-50 to blues to jazz, 50 from jazz to Motown sound, and what happened then? Two class of thought again. Integration and separation. See? Separation, right? They got Motown sound, man. I'm black and I'm proud. Even James Brown got him a fro. People start wearing fros, start appreciating who they are. And the music was reflecting that initially until the demons got hold to it. Because at first it was like love songs and pride songs. Then the demons got hold to it now. In, bitch, you're holding on, demons under control of false Israel. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. That's music. Look how powerful it is. You got people in China, India, everybody rocking to our music, which is mathematics. It's very powerful mathematics. But they don't, once you look at it, they think it's just some rhythm. Y'all are rhythmic people. Yeah, but that rhythm is based on mathematics. So where's that mathematics coming from? You don't see dogs and cats doing that. Only us. But we're in tune with the universe. See? And that's the whole thing talk. White man can't dance. They can dance. Problem is, that's not, you don't misunderstand the problem. They don't hear all the notes, but they ain't mathematical. What they hear, what they dancing to is what they're hearing. It's like a person that's colorblind. They can't see all the colors. So you put the wrong color, they walk through a door because they can't see it. Man, are you blind? No, you ain't blind, you just don't see the color. But they just don't hear those notes. So you said, man, that dude, look, he can't dance. Look, they dance to the notes they hear. They don't hear all of them. You hear all of them. And you're going to see a lot more that you ain't heard yet. Like Mama said, new sound is coming. And I'm telling you, that new sound is going to be here very soon. because every 50 years we get a new sound. Every 50 years first we broke our physical chains, then we start breaking our mental chains 50 years later, we broke our social chains, and now this period we're going to separate and break all our chains. So in this, what's the story here? The first was like sharecropping or cities, get away on stage. Second, right, Eurocentric, Afrocentric. Then it was integration, separation. See? And now it's we depart, original people, and demons, they stay. If we're leaving here, we're going back home. That's what these old plays was about. We exit. The whole purpose of these plays is to get us out of here. They don't want to let us go. I'm going to take another segue here. Something you might check. I don't want to get too far out. I didn't mean to go as long as I'm going. I want to keep this to like an hour and a half at the most. I went to this program I know what I'm talking about. They have a thing called SIC codes, Standard Industrial Codes. Look it up. Standard Industrial Codes, right? Yeah, SIC. Standard Industrial Codes, SIC. And everyone has one, right? Because that's how the government tracks industry and, demographics and things like that. So, anytime a new industry comes online, or is coming online, the government set a SIC code for it, and they go look for the demographics that's best suited for the industry, and then they start training people for the industry. You understand what I'm saying? So when computers came online back in the 70s, they did the study. Carter was president at the time, but when the study was actually finished. And the result was, it's be hard to find this out, but because they cover a lot of stuff, so I haven't looked recently to find out through the research, but if you do, I'm pretty sure you can find out facts of it. They found out that blacks were the best suited for programming computers. And you saw that. They gave you a little hint of that in Hidden Figures. But these women weren't educated as much as the white guys. These guys were way educated. And the women was teaching them their own math, teaching them how to use it. But they didn't know how to use their own math. And these guys were super advanced degrees. And these sisters, some of them didn't have, they act like some of them didn't have degrees. They would teach them how to use their own math. There was girls involved in that too. I knew about this before they made the picture. Because they would hide that kind of stuff. I knew about it. Some people knew, because but they hid it. That's what I call it, Hidden Figures. I was surprised they put it out there. There was some brothers involved in that too. So they told you, these sisters were less educated and they was better at math than the white boys were. That's what they found out when they did that research, that study. And black folks was best because mathematics, right? In other words, it was two attributes that showed that if you was good you was good musically, right? And mathematically. If you had those two attributes, you'd be a good programmer. They found blacks will be stupid. They probably remember said music, and blacks people know mathematics, but those are two qualities, and they found that blacks make the best programmers. And so they started a program. I went through the program. It was a program with Urban League and IBM. It was in Chicago. And IBM would furnish the instructors and the equipment, the computers, right? And the Urban League would supply the classroom, the administration, and then they had a deal with the local industry that the top 10 people of each class, they were guaranteed they would hire them. I went to the program. It was a 3-month program, and they paid you while you was going. And IBM, like I said, they came with a machine, and they gave the instructors. Now I came out first in my class for a name like Raheem. I wanted to make sure I was definitely going to get a job. This Rafi Elijah Muhammad departed. This was like in 77 or 78, somewhere around in there. They hired that from me. And then when Reagan came online, right, he dismantled that program quick. he got rid of that program quick because he saw the problem. Because this was a national security type of industry, and if blacks took hold of that, right, with supply and demand, they'd make a lot of money. Next thing they'd be living right next to. Remember, they're still doing redlining and stuff. They live right next door, Reagan, see with his daughter, and they wasn't going to have that. They didn't smell it, and then all of a sudden, at that time, you couldn't find India in this country. I mean, there was a few, but it was rare to see them. Rare. I mean, extremely rare. If you saw one, it was like seeing a gorilla walking down the street. That's how rare it was. And so they made this movie called I'm Alive, Number 5, something like that, where it's Indian. He took and he made it, built a computer, and that computer came alive. See, they started giving the myth that the Indians was great supercomputer programmers. But they didn't want you doing it. And they started building jails for you, prisons. They started bringing Indians over there by a truckload. And now they got the jobs, right? And you got the prisons. That's a fact. And it's the Democratic Party, with all those so-called black caucus and all that kind of stuff, they voted for all this stuff. Not to mention, send all your jobs to China, industrial jobs to China. The AI jobs went to India, industrial jobs went to China. China was a basket case back then. Now China's a superpower. They said, well, man, we worry about China. Yeah, because you made China strong because you're so busy trying to keep us from getting anything, so you made them strong. Now they're about to kick your ass. They're going to kick your ass in the end. We'll talk about that in another presentation. You made us superpower because you didn't want us to have anything. See? You want us here, but you don't want us to have any power. But you want to take advantage. See? It's like dogs. Dogs got power, but you make sure they don't ever act on that power. They go back to their natural selves. That's what you did. And you're still doing it. You're building prisons for us because you want to keep us here. And that those plagues are designed for you to let us go. Because you know the value of us, but they don't want anybody else to know. Because you don't see, is any innovation coming out of Germany? Is there innovation coming out of Russia? Is there innovation coming out of China? No, they all just copy what they got from here. They're good at mimicking, duplicating it. But they ain't no, you heard of some internet to come out of China? The missiles, atomic power come out of China? Electricity come out of China? Did it come out of Russia? Did it come out of Germany? Planes, rockets? Well, rockets, that's ancient Chinese technology. That didn't come out of Germany. I mean, not like these kind of rockets with gyroscopes and things. You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? And I just do not. I mean, I don't know if I got back to surface. All the stuff that's going on that you have no idea about. When you start asking questions, man, then you got a big problem. Not only that the terror bus come and check you out, find what's going on with you, why you act different, but now you start unraveling deep. Oh man, damn, it's another. This enigma and the enigma under it, another one. What the hell? Where's the truth at anywhere? Because you're not getting truth at all. He said you wouldn't get the truth until Master Muhammad came, then Elijah, and then Elijah left, and then Elijah came back in, started kind of stuffing it out, and now you get the truth again. So now you can't recognize it. Because all you do is get truth, and you can check everything we tell you. But you're going to accept the truth in a minute. Because the foundation of these lies, the Master Muhammad is getting ready to cut the knot at the source. You digging down to the source. Now, unravel some of you ain't even doing that. You accept this whole knot matrix. You accept the whole thing as is. Some of you trying to unravel this knot. No, not trying to unravel this. And you've been years doing it. But they got you in words and everything. Like I said, they got you in words. Slavery. That was what we went through. I can say a lot of words they use. Like the one I mentioned earlier, I made a note of it, but let me bring it up. Oh, no. Here. Oh, about how did he say it? Don't change the way to twist scripture. It sounds great, right? But it says don't turn evil for evil. And so you think that means don't just love them no matter what they do. No. We don't turn somebody steal from us, don't steal from them. But we render justice to them. But see, they don't say it exactly, so you assume they say another thing. Another thing like this, and okay. Let me tell you a little story here real quick. Give you another example. Now, a lot of you, first of all, I shouldn't go down this. But let me say this whole thing first. Scriptures was written as prophecy. They're not written for history. They're written to give you foresight. But they said when they come out, read chapter 20, they've deceived the whole world. That's part of deception right there, because they tell you that when you read the scripture, that's hindsight, history. That's where they blinded you. It took your foresight from you. So therefore, you can't see. You run into walls and stuff because you think that's history when it's actually future or present. If you read Exodus happened right before our eyes, but you blind to it because you think it's history. That's one example. Another example I want to tell you about is this little story about Peter. Just bear with me for a second on this one. Now, Jesus said, according to the Bible, on this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So on the surface, that sounds like, that's powerful. This Peter, who Jesus got finished calling Satan, just called him Satan. He said, get behind me, Satan. See? That means Satan being in his past, but you ain't reading this stuff carefully. If he behind him, he'd be in his past. So let's see. The book scriptures are mathematical and they're logical, but you don't look at it that way because you look at it on a art zone, but you're programmed not to use this. That's how much going to programming, because he's going to put so much fear in you because of what's going to happen in the Middle East. Because men's hearts be failing, but fear, those things come upon earth, because the powers of heaven, right? It's come, and they die. It's come upon them. So they have hearts because of fear. That's another story, right? That's another story right in itself. But when you're not using your mind and you're still in the heart zone, your heart knows fear, the mind doesn't. So when your heart gets afraid, then it communicates to the mind and says what to do. That's from how to put such a fear on you. Short circuit your program, because then you're going to ask your mind, all this stuff ain't going to make no sense. But now you're thinking you're going to find Christianity. None of that stuff they tell you about made any sense whatsoever. But right now, it feels to your heart, so that's where you are. Let's look at this Peter thing. And it says, the gates of hell, just look at it. The gates of hell will not, now, what you got subject here? You got church, and you got hell, and you got the gates between them, because he said the gates of hell will not prevail. So the gates of hell is between the church and hell, the gate. Now, gates are designed to keep people in. So the gates of hell are designed to keep people in hell, not designed to keep people out. So think about it. See, you got church, that's the subject gave you, hell, and you got the gates between. So he says, on this rock I build my church. See? Now, that rock, I can talk about that a little bit too, but I'm not going to that right now. I will keep it a short story. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, what happens if something doesn't prevail? It says the gates of hell will not prevail. So if something doesn't prevail, what does that mean? If something does not prevail, what does that mean? Because he said the gates of hell will not prevail. He says the gates of hell will not fail. He says the gates of hell will not prevail. But you took it as the gates of hell will not fail, because when you don't prevail, that means you failed. So if the gates of hell doesn't prevail, it's designed to keep the people in hell. That means the gates fail, the people out of hell comes out into the church. That's Farrakhan. He's a demon. He's Peter. He says he's Peter, right? He's the son of perdition, and he filled his church up. Jesus' church, Solomon's church, Elijah's church, because the son of perdition was sitting in Elijah's seat in the temple. He said he sat in the mosque. He said he sat in the synagogue. He said he was sitting in the temple. He sat in his seat, and he filled it up with demons and devils. And that's what he says. He wants to bring devils and NOI. I mean, how clear can it be? But because you don't pay attention to the words, you're programmed not to think, and it's right in front of your face right there, and he's telling you, we got to prove. He said he want to bring devils and NOI. He's going to save the devils, because his father's a devil. Google him. His father's named Purple Clock, and he got a picture of him. So you read the story correctly, analyze it. It says Peter, that's why Jesus called him Satan. Get behind me, because that's what it'd be. He'll be behind him, because it will be first come Elijah or Moses, then it'll be Aaron, who is Farrakhan, son of perdition. And then will come Jesus or Joshua or Christ, whatever you want to call him. Then he'll take people home. He'll be the messenger of the covenant, because he's going to fulfill the covenant. He's going to fulfill the covenant. But you had that period of Aaron, who deceived the people, having tried to turn their hearts back to Egypt, because that's what he's saying. We ain't going nowhere. He wants to save America. That's what Aaron did, try to turn people's heart back to Egypt, where they was imprisoned in horror. He tried to turn their hearts back. And what happened? When Jesus and Moses and Joshua, Jesus returned, right? The first they did, they separated the demons, Farrakhan's followers out from the saints. And then they slaughtered Aaron and all his followers, Farrakhan and all his followers. It's right there. But they tell you that's the past. That's how they blind you. You understand, brothers and sisters? It's right there in front of your face. But they blind you to it. It's right there. So Farrakhan reads, he says Aaron, but he don't tell them what Aaron did. He's done a perdition. It's a demon. They would make war with the saints. So you take the Elijah's followers call themselves the saints, because the saints supposed to have the kingdom. So he said he would make war with them 42 years. But it says, remember, they're not going to listen to any of this, because they're mostly demons and devils over there. So if that's true, and Farrakhan is not the son of perdition, like I say, they got 42 years of hell waiting for them up in the future, because that would happen. It's all there, brothers and sisters. But they got you blind to it. They got your program, but your program is about to be short circuit, because Master Muhammad's going to cut all those knots I keep telling you about, one after another, right? He's getting down to the bottom. He's going to cut that bottom knot. And all the rest are going to unravel right before your eyes. And then all of a sudden your eyes are going to open up, and you're going to go back to your mind. You got your mind back. Read Daniel. Read Mark. Your mind had to be given back to you. That's about to happen. Your mind's your software. Injure your software, but you ain't. They repent stuff. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We're going to leave it there. But brothers, since you're going home, we're going to get many as you can. It's my job to get many. I carry all my back. You don't see it. But see, these demons and everything, they're trying to destroy you. They're going to take a lot of you down with them. It says, my people are lost for lack of knowledge. See? Not because they're sinful. Farrakhan telling you sinful. He's somebody that sins his own people. Somebody of himself. You're sinful. But no, you're not sinful, brothers and sisters. You're thrown into a shithole. So you're covered with shit. All you need is a bath. But they are full of shit. So baths do not help them. See, all of us, myself included, go out down in a cesspool, covered with shit, as long as you're here in America. But that's why I said Suleiman would come, the messenger covered was full of soap. To wash it off. So you're not sinful. And anything we do, self-preservation is not sinful. If you steal to survive, that's not that makes you a thief. If you lie to survive, that doesn't make you a liar. That makes you tell you're trying to survive. That makes you say that you love God's creation because you're trying to keep it. You love the life God gave you because you're trying to keep it. You do anything you can to try to keep it. We had to lie and steal everything and survive here. But when you do it because you don't, when you do it, if you're rich, you do it anyway because you do it because of your nature. Because they steal, lie, terrorize countries and everything else. They're a terrorist nation. They're still stealing, robbing, rich, and they do it by their nature. They're not going to stop doing it. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. We're going to leave it there. Let me close out my audio audience. Second here, brothers and sisters. Give me a second. Thank you for listening. This is the Black Alert segment, the Fire Zone. Thank you for listening. Fire Zone out. My audio audience. Thank you for listening. This is second here, brothers and sisters. Again, brothers and sisters, this is the Resurrected Nation of Islam. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.